Do you love how easy the major pentatonic scale is to play, but find it just sounds a little generic, a little bit cliched, you end up sounding the same as everybody else? Well then, this lesson is for you. Hi, I'm Mark, and in this video I'm going to teach you a fantastic technique for repurposing the minor pentatonic scales, those fingerings that we all know and love, but using them in a major context, but not in the typical way. Actually using them in a way that sounds more interesting, going to get you more complex sounds, more unusual sounds. It's a fantastic technique known as pentatonic substitution. So in my last video, I taught this in a minor, over a minor chord progression, so in a minor context. And in this video, we're going to build on that and teach you how to do that in a major context. So thanks for joining me in this lesson. So if this is the last video in a whole series I've done looking at the pentatonic scale and really digging out the pentatonics and getting more out of it. So we started by kind of like a beginner lesson on what the pentatonic scale is, the minor pentatonic, how to apply that all over the neck. Then we looked at the major pentatonic, and then for more intermediate players, we looked at combining major and minor in a blues context to give you that kind of more bluesy sound. So then in the last lesson, we kind of moved on from there to something more advanced, which was pentatonic substitution over a minor chord progression. And now what we're going to do is we're going to build all of that together, take the major pentatonic and apply this pentatonic substitution over in a major key. So this video kind of assumes that you at least know the relative minor. So that was I think the second lesson in this series that you've seen that. So you know how to repurpose the minor pentatonic fingerings in order to make to play over a major key. And it also assumes that you've looked at the pentatonic substitution for a minor key, which was the previous video in this lesson. So if you've seen both of those, what we're going to do now is combine both together in order to play pentatonic substitution in a major key. So the way pentatonic substitution works is that you basically play 5 notes away from what you'd normally play. Okay, so for the entire video, we're going to be playing in the key of G. So our chord progression is in G major. So what we would normally do is we'd use the relative minor, that's the second lesson in this series, to learn to play E minor pentatonic over a G major chord progression. And then what we did with pentatonic substitution is we're going to use the minor pentatonic that's 5 notes away. So we're in the key of G major, we're using E minor to do that, but we're going to now, instead of using E minor, we're going to use the scale that's 5 notes away. So if we think of E, F, G, A, B, we're actually going to play B minor pentatonic. So we're going to play the B minor pentatonic scale over a G major chord progression. Now, if this is all going way too fast, go back and check my other videos to find out why we would choose to use E minor pentatonic over a G major chord progression, and look at the minor pentatonic substitution as well, so that you'd know why we would use the chord progression, use the scale that's 5 notes away from what we'd normally use for the to solo in. So the way this is going to work, the video is I'm going to show you an example solo where I'm applying this. So it's a G major chord progression and I'm playing licks in B minor. And the way the solo basically is, there's kind of 2 halves to it. The first half I'm playing just your kind of cliched minor pentatonic licks, but they're going to sound different. They're going to sound a little more unusual, not what you'd kind of normally associate, because they've been offset, because we're now playing in B minor. So the first half of the solo uses those kind of cliched rock licks, but in a different context to give them kind of more interesting sounds. And then the second half of the solo, it really digs into this idea of playing in B minor, and we get a kind of more melodic sound, because when you use B minor pentatonic over a G major, the notes that you're actually going to be playing, those are going to be much more melodic notes. So if we actually think about it, what we've got is we've got B, we've got a D, we've got an E, an F sharp, and an A, and then back to B. So those are our notes that we're going to be playing. That's our scale. So you'll notice we're playing those notes over the key of G major, but we're not actually, there's not a single G note in there. What we've got is we've got things like the major seventh in there, so we've got an F sharp instead. So those are going to bring out much more melodic sounds. So that's kind of what I'm building on and what I'm using in the second half of the solo. In fact, the second half of the solo, every phrase starts with that F sharp note. So playing F sharp over G, so that's why it sounds melodic. Anyway, enough of me talking. What we'll do is I'll show you the example solo, and then the other side of it, I'll teach you the licks one by one and pull them apart with tab. As usual, backing tracks available. In fact, it's the same backing track that I used for the relative minor lesson, which is the second one in this series. So if you compare both solos together, you'll hear the difference between playing E minor pentatonic and playing B minor pentatonic over the same chord progression. So yeah, so there's the tabs available on screen, and if you want a copy, see the details below, send me an email, I'll send you a copy of the tab. So there's tab, there's backing track. That's enough of me talking. Here's the solo. So there you heard an example solo where I'm using the key of B minor pentatonic but playing over a G major backing track. So what I'll do now is I'll teach you all those licks one by one so you can see where those licks come from and learn them yourself. But before I do, please hit like, please hit subscribe. If you like this video, you get something from it, please leave me a comment and let me know, because at the moment this is just me in my spare bedroom and I've got no idea whether anybody actually finds any of this stuff useful. So if you have, please just leave me a comment and let me know. Big thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon, because without you I couldn't be doing this. It's a huge help. Thank you very much. Okay, on with the lesson. So lick one now goes like this. Okay, nice B minor box position 1. Okay, and what we're doing is we're grabbing 9th fret of the G string, bending it up a whole tone before grabbing top E at the, where are we, 7th fret. So we get this. And then what we're doing is we're playing 12th fret on the B string before grabbing 11 on the top E. So nice and slow. And up to speed. Okay, lick 2 now goes like this. Okay, and I'll do that nice and slow. So it follows on quite nicely from lick 1. Okay, what we're doing is we're grabbing the 12th fret, we're bending it up a whole tone. That's of the top E string, pulling it back down to 12 before coming off to 10 on the top E, and then resolving to 12 on the B string. So that section goes like this. Okay. Lick 3 now goes like this. And you can think of that in two sections. You got this section, and then you got this section. Okay, and it's essentially the same fingering, just repeated twice. One starting here, and one starting here. Anyway, it goes like this. I'll do it nice and slow, actually. Okay, and what we're doing is we're going, where are we? 10 on the top E, to 7 on the top E, to 10 on the B, back to 7 on the top E. So that section. Then the next section takes exactly the same pattern, but we're doing it using starting on the B string instead. So we're going 10 on the B string, 7 on the B string, 8 on the G string, back to 7 on the B string, and that bit goes like this. Okay, so it's just like a nice little simple walk down in B minor. B minor pentatonic, I should say. Okay, lick 3. So now we're up to lick 4, and lick 4 goes like this. Okay, nice little repeating phrase. Little phrase we repeat 4 times. What we're doing is we're playing 10 on the B string, pulling off to 7 on the B string, and then hitting 7 on the G string as well. So that little piece goes like this, nice and slow. And we basically do that 4 times. Okay, and then what we're doing is we're sliding 9 to 11 on the G before grabbing 10 on the B string, back to 11 on the G. So that slide is like this. Okay, that's G string slide 9 to 11, 10 on the B, back to 11 on the G. Put the whole thing together and it goes like this. Okay, and up to speed. Okay, and basically each of those repeats, you start that repeat on the beat, nice and easy. Okay, so we have that lick, and then the next lick is another kind of really cliched blues lick. It goes like this. Okay, so what we're doing is that previous lick was in box position 1, now we're kind of up into box position 2 again. Really cliched blues lick, sliding into 11 on the G string and then grabbing 10 on the B string. And we're doing that 3 times. And then hitting 12 on the B string twice. So the whole lick nice and slow. Just giving that last note a little shake there. Okay, so all those licks up to now, all those 5 licks, they've kind of been pretty bluesy, kind of traditional, what you'd normally play for minor pentatonic licks. What we're going to do now is look at lick 6, and from now on, this is kind of like a much more melodic phrase. So what I've done is I've come up to box position 3. Box position 3 in B minor looks like this. Okay, and what we're doing is we're playing with that little that fingering in order to make something quite melodic. I'm starting on this note here, which is an F sharp, which is the 14th fret of the top E string, and that's important because that's the major 7 of the underlying chord. So the underlying chord progression is in G. But we're playing this note, which if you think about playing, if you think like a G here, but we add an F sharp in there, we get this F sharp, we get this chord. Okay, so by playing that F sharp and kind of playing around with that note there, we're getting that kind of more melodic sound into our playing. Anyway, enough of the waffle. The actual lick goes like this. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, and you'll notice as well as that F sharp, I'm also targeting this B note quite heavily as well, because B is the root note of the key that we're playing in, or the scale we're playing in, which is B minor pentatonic, so we're targeting the B note. Right, so the actual lick, it starts on 14 on the top E, bend up slightly, back down, bending up just kind of like a semitone. So up and down before coming off to 12 on the top E, 15 on the B, to 12 on the B string. So that little section goes like this, nice and slow. Okay, and then we're playing 14 on the G, 12 on the B, and then ending 15 on the B string. So that piece then goes like this. Put the two together nice and slow. Okay, and then actually the this lick and the next 3 licks all start the same way. They all start with that little phrase that goes like this. Okay, that little piece, once you've got that down, you're then going to reuse this every time on these next, 3 licks, not four licks, 3 licks. So the first one goes like this. This is lick 6. Okay, and lick 7 goes like this. So we start the same way. I'll do it nice and slow. Okay, so after we've played our little piece that ends on the B 12th fret B string, all we're doing then is we're playing 15 slide up to 17, back down to 15. Okay, so the whole lick 7, nice and slow. Okay, then lick 8 also starts the same way and goes like this. Okay, so we start the same way. First couple of notes the same until we get to that B on the B string, 12th fret. And then what we're doing is we're hitting that B again on the 12th fret before grabbing, where are we? 14 on the G string and sliding up to 16. Grabbing 15 on the B string, back to 16 on the G. So the whole lick, nice and slow. And then up to speed. Okay, and the last lick now. Lick 9, and lick 9 goes like this. Okay, we're back down to box position 1 of B minor pentatonic. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by grabbing 10 on the B string, bending it up a whole tone before grabbing 7 on the E string, back down to 10 on the B string, back down to 7 on the B. So that little piece goes like this. Okay, and then what we're going to do is come down to the G string, take 9, bend it up a whole tone before playing 9 again, and then off to 7. So that goes like this. Okay, put those two together, you get this. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just sliding 10 into 12 on the B string, where we're going to end our little solo. So lick 9, nice and slow, goes like this. And up to speed. So that was the last lick in this particular solo, and actually that's the end of this particular series, which I've called Pentatonic Like a Pro. We've gone from beginners using major and minor pentatonic all over the neck. We've gone intermediate, mixing major and minor together in the same solo. We've gone advanced, looking at the pentatonic substitutions. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've enjoyed the whole series. If you've made it through to the end of this video, please leave me a comment. Let me know that you actually made it all the way through to the end. I'd really appreciate that. Remember to like and subscribe, because be notified of future videos that are coming. I've got a lot more lessons planned. What would be really interesting is if you took this idea, you take that backing track that I've played in the key of G major, and just for yourself, just see how E minor pentatonic fits over there, and then see how B minor pentatonic fits, and see how that feels. Leave me a comment, let me know how you get on with that. The B minor, how different does that feel to playing in E minor? What's your ear telling you when you're doing that? How easy is it to improvise with? I'd love to have some comments, have some feedback to know kind of how you got on with this, because as I say, it's quite a bit more of an advanced course, a bit more of an advanced lesson, I mean. I hope you enjoyed it all, and I'll see you again.